You're listening to Creating a Universe, a Love Anarchy podcast hosted by William J. Rogers. On this show, we follow the journey of creatives, artists, and entrepreneurs who are making a name for themselves in the ever-evolving landscape of today's industry. Featuring an insight into both Love Anarchy and the Lovaniverse music universe, as well as the individual projects and stories of each of our guests, from the music industry and beyond. So whether you're a budding creative or simply interested in what goes on behind the scenes, this is the podcast for you. Hello and welcome to Creating a Universe. I'm your host, William J. Rogers, and today I'm here with Vampyric Gothic Metal artist, Laura Vargas, otherwise known as the Inferno Doll. How's it going, Laura?
I'm doing all right. I think you are one of the very few people that I know that is not from Latin America that says my name correctly.
Oh, cool. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. I'm doing great. Getting my cup of coffee.
Nice.
Here. It's quite cold. And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Yeah, it's much earlier in the day for you than it is for me.
What time is it over there?
It's just gone 7 p.m. here in the UK. And you're in Canada, right?
Yeah, it's noon over here.
So you're originally from Chile, but based in Canada now, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, well, just to kick things off then, would you maybe be able to start just by giving a bit of an overview of who you are and what you're doing?
Of course. As my good friend mentioned here, I'm from Chile. My name is Laura. I have this vampiric gothic metal project called the Inferno Doll. I've been living in Canada for the past 6 years. The music I've been making lately is pretty much inspired by Dracula, by Bram Stoker. And I have a new song coming this Friday.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So the new song is Renfield, right? That's the one that by the time this has come out, that song will have just come out so people can go and listen to it. So yeah, cool. I'm very excited.
I will repeat myself, and I have a song that is already out.
That's it. So if I'm right, the song is based on the character Renfield from Dracula, right? And you've mentioned obviously a very kind of key component to your music in the Inferno Doll is this overall theme of vampirism and stuff, which is super awesome. I mean, I'm a huge fan of vampires.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's that time of year. So
you're making me cry already.
Yeah. So I'm really personally interested in how you approach the topic of vampires in music, because I must admit that's something that I've actually been looking for loads. I really, really love this merger of the themes of vampires with music. I think that it's been done a bit to varying degrees of success, I would say. So I'd really love to hear your thoughts on it as you're someone so immersed in that combination.
Okay, so I've been attracted to vampires since, I don't know, over 20 years ago, probably more.
Nice.
And the reason why I kind of chose the theme Dracula vampires for the new music, it was mainly because during COVID, lockdown and everything, I went back to reading vampire literature, Dracula, some books from Bram Stoker, Anne Rice, Le Fanu as well. I've read Carmilla, I don't know how many times.
Nice.
And right at that moment, I found this Facebook page called back then Dracula's Place. And Enrique Palafox, he's from Mexico, and he was doing these live readings from the novel. And he invited Dacre Stoker, who's like a direct descendant from Bram Stoker. And he was given so much insight about the research Stoker did back then to write Dracula, and so many facts, honestly, that I had no idea. And I know now. So in that process, I was just getting into the final writing of the last songs and writing the lyrics. And I somehow felt weirdly connected to things that were happening in my life back then and still happen. Feelings, emotions, situations that were in a weird way similar to what I was reading in the novel. Certain characters going through different things. And it was so natural for me to just take that inspiration and put it on my music on my own way.
Nice.
And during this songwriting, I moved places. I'm living in another house right now, and changes and so many things. I was in the process of writing one of the last songs, and told my friend Emma, she's from Regina, she plays the glissando flute on the song, and I was like, you want to make this song with me? I have this idea. And we work on the demo here and there. Then Gabriel, my co-songwriter and co-producer, jumped in, and we started to giving the shape of the music. We were focusing more on the music itself. And I was so still am into Dracula and daily writing whatever come to my head. And it was time to I need lyrics for this. And I was like, this has a certain touch of insanity, craziness, and it made so much sense to keep the title Renfield. And I was just writing the lyrics, and it was this makes so much sense with the character, and I'm like, this is my tribute to Renfield.
Nice.
So yes, long story short, there you are.
That's amazing. I absolutely love that. So what I'm keen to know then is you've got a few releases to catch up anybody that doesn't know.
Yes.
The Sacrifice EP came out in 2020, and then prior to that you had a whole album, right? Dollmination, is it?
Dollmination, yes.
And that was 2015, so 5 years.
Oh yeah. Prior
to that, quite a gap. And I know that there's a concept there which is super, super cool. Did things revolve around vampires and this kind of topic from the very beginning?
Not directly from the very beginning. I think I see it now like that. The first album, Dollmination, was my first try or first release as a solo artist. So because I like telling stories and that's how my brain works, I made out this story about this alter ego leaving my body, locking me up inside the alter ego, and the alter ego just telling her story. That it was basically what I was going through back then. So many things happen during life that the best way I have to release the anger or the pain or whatever is transforming that into stories. So that was more I wanted to put it more like Dante's Inferno kind of thing, cool, going through stages of being reborn, being outside in the world, or in this inferno, going to your final destination and facing different things, like remembering that you fell in love, remembering pain, and feeling things. So that was the Dollmination era. Then I relocated to Canada. I was focusing on that time. And I have to say that Sacrifice is the first vampiric-ish approach on my music. The concept was this high priestess that controlled fire was rising me up from the dead, or whatever you want to call it.
Amazing.
And she was giving the Inferno Doll another chance to live in this world. So you better be wise. And so Sacrifice is about the rebirth, and Ghost Walls is this spirit stuck in this old theater, and she's not able to leave, and she's in there, this soulless immortal, and again singing about emotions and love, and that was I have to say that Ghost Walls could be like the first introduction to what I was working on now. Because it's kind of, my brain works like I'm releasing this song, but I'm also thinking about the future. So how am I going to connect these stories between albums? So, and now I just put everything on the table. Is very much inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula and other vampire literature. I'm a big fan of horror, classic horror, Gothic literature. So put all those ingredients into a mixer.
Nice.
And the new music is there.
It's wonderful breeding ground, I believe. I just wanted to check that, like, you've got 3 tracks on Sacrifice, right? You talked about 2 of them, and then there's a track called Land of the Lords.
Oh, well, actually that one, that's not inspired about vampires. I was angry. I was feeling super upset back then, and I don't know, books and stories, they always land on my hand, and it's like, okay, this is perfect. Nice. I wanted to, let me rephrase that. I just finished watching the show Penny Dreadful, and I've been reading Frankenstein. Oh, cool. So, and I was feeling like so empathic about the creature, the monster, that he's not understood, and he's being judged because of the way he looked. Yeah, he was a little, a little demonic, but he was not. So I was like, how could I express the anger and the disappointment I was feeling back then? What would the creature feel? So I kind of put myself into his shoes and let the words come out. So yes,
I love that. I love that. And it's a really heavy song as well. I mean, that one is really cool. Yeah. I like that, because from what you've said, whilst some of the earlier material might not have been directly inspired by vampires, it still kind of thematically fits in perfectly, because especially that first record being about this kind of darker side of yourself, or like there's, it's that kind of shadow self concept that I think is so kind of vital to the topic of vampires and a lot of Gothic literature in general. So yeah. Really, really cool. So then I don't know what stage we're at in terms of how much you can actually talk about the music that's coming from here, but we have a new single, right? Renfield. And that's a part of something, or there's new music? I don't know what you're allowed to say yet, but where
I can say almost everything. Awesome. What I can say I will be like, cool. Not that one. No, there are more songs there. We're finishing recording the new album that I'm planning on releasing second half of 2023. Gabriel, I think he's already done with all the guitars and bass. The drums were already recorded a few months ago, and I'm here in my little cave, castle, whatever you want to call it, Lyre.
Nice.
And I'm here almost daily recording my parts. So then everything goes to him. He mixes everything, then goes to the mastering, and ta-da!
Amazing.
Yes, and even though I have already sorry. What am I doing?
That's okay.
Yes, I'm still like, I think I already know the concept of the artwork. I have a few names written down of how am I going to introduce this new music to the world. I do have another guest singer. My dear friend Sam Astaroth is singing in one of my songs. That is the weirdest song that is going to be in the album. Seriously. Cool. And yeah, that's what's gonna happen. There will be more songs that I will be releasing before the full album, probably 2 more. I'm not sure when that's gonna happen just yet. And yes, that's more or less what's coming. So if you want to know more, just ask.
That's amazing. Cool. Very, very, very exciting stuff. And I suppose
I'm
as
having
well,
a little bit of a cold, sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I suppose just because you mentioned there makes sense to segue slightly into the fact that you just released a cover with Sam Astaroth.
Oh, yeah.
The
Cody.
Lacuna Coil cover.
Oh, yes.
Trip the Darkness. That was really, really cool.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, it was great to see you guys together. It's a very perfect kind of
And
match.
we all live in Canada in different areas. So I haven't met in real life Cody or Sam yet, but I hope that changes
Cody from the cover.
Very soon.
Yeah.
He's in Winnipeg. Sam is in Toronto. I'm here in Calgary.
Nice
technology.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, it kind of works really well with Sam because his whole thing is kind of like being a demon, right?
Yes.
And he has all kinds of a crazy range of vocals, especially, kind of harsh vocals and stuff. So, a demon and a vampire, it just all kind of fits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So cool. So, all right. So we know that for sure that this upcoming material is much more vampire focused. You've touched on loads of influences there. I was wondering, like, is it kind of like, in terms of your favorite kind of versions of Dracula and the things that you're inspired by, are you really kind of into that original Bram Stoker novel, or are there other kind of, I know that you've got it about the kind of romantic aspects of vampires as well, which is a part of it that I really love. And I feel that wasn't so much in the original novel. It was more kind of added later, and especially the Francis Ford Coppola movie, right? Really kind of did that.
Such a good movie. So good.
I
absolutely love its 30th anniversary 2 days ago. Yes, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Well, 2 days ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. However many days.
2 days ago, whatever days ago. Yeah, it was its 30th anniversary. I love the novel very much. It's such a great novel. I can't say I like more the novel than Coppola's movie because they are like both there. I have read other Dracula related books, like Dacre Stoker wrote a couple of books. One is like the sequel, and the other one is the story of Bram Stoker, but what if Bram Stoker was a vampire? And there is this other version of Dracula called The Powers of Darkness that it is told that it is a translation from the original novel to Icelandic. And they noticed when they translated that version to English, it was not the same. But the thing is that it is told that that version of the book, it was based on an original draft that Stoker wrote, that it was denied by the publishers back then. So he sent it to his friend in Iceland. He translated it, and it's more darker, like, wow. It's amazing.
Wow, cool.
Wow. And so many stories that I've read. I think that I can't remember which was the first vampire book related I read. It's been too long. But I do remember that when I was around 18 or 19 years old, I got to meet this group of people that was very into Gothic literature and vampires history. And I started to hang out with them, and they were always like telling me things about vampires. Role playing as well was involved there. So yeah,
nice.
And still is. So it's so natural for me to just grab all those things that inspire my life into the music. And could be the movies, can be the books. They're all great. Well, there are Dracula movies that are really bad, of course.
And some bad vampire movies in general.
Oh my God, yeah. like, ugh.
Vampires have been
anyways.
done a lot to
Yeah.
to varying levels. I remember at one point I was really like, I went on a run of trying to watch or find anything I could to do with vampires and see this different spectrum of
Yeah.
things
And I
there.
really like when I find other authors or other people that have another point of view about vampires.
Yeah.
Why do they suck blood? Or how is the how can you become a vampire? There's so many ways.
Yeah.
Anne Rice has his way, has her way. Stoker had his way, and Le Fanu had his way, and but they all suck blood. So
yeah. That's it. Do you know who I actually like to think of Hannibal Lecter as one of my favorite vampires? He's not technically a vampire, right? But he's such a good character, and he's a cannibal.
Can you imagine if they could make like a version of vampiric Hannibal Lecter? That would be scary.
It could be so good, man. Yeah, I mean, I love that character, and especially the way he's so eloquent. You know?
Oh yeah.
It's just like he's a perfect vampire, I think.
Oh,
a vampire in the real world, you know?
Ooh, that would be scary. I don't know. I remember once someone asked me if Dracula was real, and you meet him, and he gives you the chance, and if he gives you the chance of choosing like remaining human or being immortal, what would you choose? And the more I get into vampire literature, the more people I know, they know about vampire, and they tell me things. It's like, I would pretty much like to know what's coming, like living for centuries and seeing how the world evolves. And it also kind of makes you evolve yourself as a person. I don't know. I've noticed that vampires have this way of thinking. They are like, I don't know how to explain it with words. Seriously, everything is in my head. I wish I could just take the words out of my head.
That's what the music is for, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. Everything is in the music. Everything is there.
Yeah. No, I totally get what you mean, though. I absolutely love that. It was because they're so old, right? With the long age, it just gives them this kind of inherent wisdom and a different view on the world.
Exactly.
Kind of like elves, but dark.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. So, all these creatures that have been living for centuries and centuries, they could get misunderstood because their way of thinking is so much different from humans. Because humans, we've been here like 30, 40 years, and they've been here for like 400, 300 years. And it's like, okay, so you know better.
That's why they still have good fashion sense.
Oh, yeah.
Because they got the clothes when they were at their peak, and they're like, what's everybody else doing?
Yeah, they have a lot of style.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I can speak about vampires all day. I think it's
me too. We should have like a vampiric topic only. Yeah, podcast.
Podcast,
whatever. Yeah.
We'll find other vampire enthusiasts and just talk about that all the time. Although it seems like you've done a fair amount of that.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, I will have a few talks with my friend from Mexico, Enrique Palafox. He really knows so much about Dracula. He's an expert of it. And we've been talking about doing a podcast like this. But it's going to be in Spanish. So cool. I'll make sure to have the subtitles in English. We are already like structuring what are we going to talk about, because I have so many questions that I know he knows.
Nice, yeah.
And yeah, I just want to try and do my best to invite people to learn more about vampires, Dracula, or these dark creatures that people like us like.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. I love the idea. I mean, why not put that into a podcast if you're having those conversations anyway? Like, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I know. I would definitely check that out. Yeah, I think.
Awesome.
The culture
I
around
could probably invite you in as well.
Yeah, I'll have to scrub up on my Spanish.
Oh no, we can do that in English. Don't worry about that.
Cool. I'm actually part Spanish, believe it or not. My grandmother was Spanish, but unfortunately I didn't learn the language.
Oh, well, I can teach you.
Yeah. Nice. Teach me about Spanish and vampires.
I will. Actually, there is
Spanish
Chilean
vampires.
movie That's really, really good. The name in English is Eternal Blood, if I'm not wrong.
Cool.
I think it's from probably over 20 years ago. And back then it was like, wow. We were all like going to the movie, watching that movie.
Nice.
Was really, really, really good. Yeah.
about 20 years ago, did you say? Because 20 years ago, right, the turn of the century, that's when vampires in general just became like so industrial, right? Like, like Blade, Underworld.
Oh my God! Yes,
it's like its own era of vampires. Where
yes,
This has like a new metal soundtrack, you know.
And there's some movies about vampires that keep coming. Well, my song is Renfield, and there's a movie coming soon named Renfield as well.
Cool.
And nice. I'm so glad that we are doing something about that, like telling who was Renfield. And the importance of that character in that story. But still, there's so much that I don't know about Renfield.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, awesome. So one thing that I'm really interested in then, because again, this is something that I kind of attempted to approach myself in terms of like writing music, like creating music to represent this. And like from what you've said, we've spoken a lot about that and a lot about the inspirations, especially topically from the literature, etc. To somebody that's listened thus far and never heard your music before, they may have no idea what it sounds like other than that it's to do with vampires. So I'm really interested in how you've approached that sound, like, and what kind of influences and things that you've had that you kind of brought into the mixing pot to represent this kind of vibe.
Okay, so what can I say? The community that I've been building and the fans, they say that I'm Gothic metal, that I sound like typo negative, but with a girl singing.
Cool.
That sometimes, I don't know why, my music reminds them to Cradle of Filth.
Okay.
Or to Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. Wow.
It's really hard for me to put in words what my music sounds like. I would say a mix between dark romance, Gothic metal, vampires, and me.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's it, isn't it? As an artist, it's just a kind of a purer reflection of, you know, what's inside. There's some interesting comments there. I mean, I'm not sure about Iron Maiden, other than, you know, some melodic metal components. Typo Negative is one of my all-time favorite bands. I love them. I get, like, you definitely have a Gothic metal sound, right? That much we can say as a general ballpark. I'm not sure liking it so much to Typo Negative, but like in parts, perhaps. I think I kind of feel like you have a little bit of there's some kind of like slower, doomy kind of Gothic metal elements in there as well.
That's the romantic part of me.
Yeah. I would say maybe like draconian kind of.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you.
More in that kind of vibe somewhere, but of course it's totally original. Again, like another thing that people might not have cottoned on to is you do clean vocals and you do harsh vocals as well, right? I think that's a pretty perfect representation of, I guess, what I'm talking about, like how you decide to approach vampires in a musical sense, because there is that duality to them, right? Like these kind of like, there's the person there, the eloquent vampire, and then there's the monster that's kind of beneath that. So the fact that you switch those vocal styles is so perfectly reflective of that, I'd say.
No, thank you.
I guess what I'm thinking is like, not so much in terms of what people say you sound like, but was there anything for you in particular that you drew from musically, or bands artists that you really like, or that you feel have had a real kind of impact on you, like influence?
Yes, actually there are a few bands that made a huge impact in my life. One of them is a band that doesn't exist anymore, sadly, is called Devil Doll.
Cool.
Devil Doll, I have a couple of albums there. Tick, tick, tick.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And I remember I was not approached, sorry. So I was home millions of years ago. I'm not
Of course.
but it was a long time ago, on school time.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother came home and he was like, you know what? I have this cassette tape and I know you're going to like it because at the end, you're going to hear how someone is getting buried alive. So he knew already that I was into
Wow.
horror and all the creepy things. And I'm like, okay, I'll just listen to it. And it was the album Sacrilegium from Devil Doll. I played it on cassette, like really old.
Wow, nice.
And it blew my mind. It blew my
cool.
mind, and the theatrical aspect of the music. The singer, Mr. Doctor, he was known back then as the man of 1,000 voices. He was doing all the voices, speaking, voice acting, singing, a little bit of, not really screaming, but it reminds me of it's like Devil Doll for me is like listening to a silent movie. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
It's so weird.
Yeah, okay.
Because the soundtracks from silent movies back then, they were like so good. They were like
in the horror movies, yeah.
Yes, and that was the one of the things that more, and the aesthetics, of course, the exclusivity. He was doing these live shows, and he had like 200 copies of an album, and whatever that was not sell that day, he would burn them.
Oh my.
So it's really hard to find copies of Devil Doll music now. I'm lucky that I have a few of them. I think I'm missing one album maybe. And another band that made a big impact on my life was The Vision Bleak.
Okay.
The Vision Bleak, Imperium as well. And later it was Amorphis, of course, Iron Maiden. Oh my God, so many bands. And nowadays I've been listening a lot to Lucifer's Child is a band from Greece that I recently discovered thanks to Spotify.
Yeah, cool.
I love Septic Flesh a lot.
Oh, nice.
What else? So many bands. Once Human. I also like some albums from In This Moment. I love what Alyssa Whiteglass is doing with Arch Enemy and her solo stuff.
Oh yeah.
Autumn Tears was also a big influence way back. And actually the name The Inferno Doll came into my head because my friends back then, when I was like less than 20 years old, I think, they were calling me Laura Inferno, Laura Doll, because of Devil Doll, listening to Autumn Tears, and Autumn Tears had this song called Broken Doll that I was singing all the time. I was collecting the Living the Dolls, and there was a doll called Inferno. So my friends were giving me all these nicknames. And when I started making this solo project, I was like, the Inferno Doll, of course.
That's awesome.
So there you have it.
So cool. Love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I'm definitely gonna like go over this clip and I'm gonna note down any of those bands that I don't know.
I'll send you the links.
Awesome.
The Vision Bleak, they're from Germany, and they make this horror metal, very classic sound. I fucking love that. Sorry, I said the F word.
That's okay. Speak freely. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, for sure. I mean, any of the ones that you mentioned that I know, I'm a big fan of. So yeah, I would definitely be up for checking out some more things.
Awesome.
I definitely have to check out Devil Doll.
Yes, you will find the music on YouTube.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
only
no Spotify
you won't find
or anything.
Them. No, no Spotify, no.
It's all been burned. Yeah, amazing.
Seriously.
That's cool. Yeah, very nice. All right, cool. So yeah, really nice mix of stuff there. I'm interested then in how the music comes about. So you mentioned that you have Gabrielle as a producer doing guitars, bass. I'm interested in the process. You did talk a little bit earlier about with Renfield and such, but how does it go from being like an idea or conception that you have to a fully mastered song? You know, who's contributing there, writing music, etc.
So when I'm on writing mode, I turn into a hermit, literally.
Nice. Yeah.
And I compose with my MIDI controller. I normally just try and find the melodies on piano.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like a basic melody, and then I just start layering like vocals. Like I have this idea. Instead of using the piano, I don't know why, I'm just like, okay, I want a violin here and I want it to sound like this. So I just record it with my voice.
Nice. Yeah, cool.
Sacrifice from the EP Sacrifice was born like that. I just was having this creative flow, like I need to like record this song right now because it's like too many ideas, too many vocals. And I started like laying like the bass layer of the vocals, then another harmonization and another and another. Mm-hmm. And when I had like the choir, I was imagining that my voice was going to sing by a choir, but no. And then I was working on the main vocals. Mm-hmm. And when I have either is an a cappella demo or is a demo very basic with piano and me singing, sometimes I can put on some drums here and there. So I can show this demo to, in this case, to Gabriel and tell him, okay, so this is the idea. I hear this in my head, this kind of riff, this kind of drum. How can we make this better? So it's literally just me doing ideas, MIDI, piano, voice, a lot of voices. Nice. And then eventually those vocals will transform into either guitars or violins or something crazier. Or we sometimes will keep those voices and we'll put it in the background, we'll put some effects on it, and it sounds like, ooh, a ghost in the back. So yes, that's how the music is born. Yeah.
That's super cool. Super cool because obviously I guess you're so vocals as your first instrument. You know, you're primarily a vocalist. So that's so cool that you're doing so much of the composition basically with vocals and creating the harmonies and everything. And you're like singing the guitar riff. To some degree. do you make these funny sounds?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love to hear the demos.
Oh, no. That's between me and Gabriel.
Yeah. Very personal, I can imagine.
Yeah. Or I'll just, when we meet on Zoom, and I was like, because Gabriel lives in Chile. So I'm like, okay, so I have this demo. I want you to listen to it. I imagine the guitar like this, and I was just like singing the guitar parts via Zoom. And he's like, oh, like this? Yes. Perfect, cool. My friend.
That's what you need. Yeah. Very nice.
It was easier in 2015 because I was still living in Chile and we would meet with Gabriel almost daily to work on the album. But when I came here, it has to be Sacrifice was via Skype. This new album was via Zoom and texting on WhatsApp like crazy. Phone calls here and there. Sometimes my demos would make no sense, or it would be like a minute of an idea of a song, and we would work on it. Or he will like, I have this riff. What do you think? I have this song. Do you think we can work on it? And I'm like, oh, this is great. Give it to me, and I would do my thing. Give it back to him. Like, okay, let's make this song work. Yeah,
that's good.
Teamwork, always.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess it becomes more and more common to work like this in this remote way. I mean, I'm doing most of my work like that as well. So it's interesting. There's pros and cons, right?
Yes, of course. I guess still miss like the being with the person in the same room.
Yeah, sure. You do get that instant feedback.
Like I have this idea. Let's record it right now. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, there just becomes like an energy in the room, right? And then
Yes, absolutely. One day.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that is certainly really ideal, but it is amazing how we can still cultivate that remotely. And as you say, it can get intense in the chats or on the Zooms or whatever. But
and the language we use in the chat, like the part, ha ha ha, and when you do and you write that down and then you read that back, it's like, what the fuck am I saying here?
Yeah, just a load of nonsense.
Yeah, and the other person understands everything, so it's like, okay, so I'm not cuckoo here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's that energy that would be in the room kind of somewhat exists through that through that channel. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I mean, again, I guess as a continuation of that then, you're kind of doing everything remotely, sort of, you know, you are solemn in that regard at home. Is live music a part of what you do at all, or do you plan for that to be a part? Or
yes, I plan to be a part of it. At this very second, I'm thinking about doing shows like just me on stage and trying to show a play instead of a band playing. Like seriously,
cool, yeah.
I really like silent movies. I'm very into theatrical kind of stuff. That's why when I stumble with bands that have that theatrical aspect, I'm like, yeah, I'm not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm with you.
So yes, I do see the Inferno Doll show with only me, probably a couple of dancers, or actors, or one actor or one actress, or even me holding the skull and doing the Shakespearean quotes, but instead of Shakespeare is my music. So
wow.
Yeah, I would love
that sounds
to
awesome.
I would love to do something like that. Let's see, how can I make it happen? Next year, if everything goes as planned, there will be the Inferno Doll shows. I don't know if all the time. But I would like to present the first show as me alone, which scares me a lot. That's why I want to do it.
Yeah, nice.
But I always imagine myself like on stage with Gabe or whoever the drummer can drum at the time. Right now, the drummer from this new era is Pablo Stangaro. He's also from Chile. And it's so great that I still have this connection with this great musicians and artists back home, and they are all so willing to hold me. So thank you to everyone. Awesome. You guys are the best. So yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. And would you say that like your listeners and fans and things like that, a lot of those based in Chile, South America, or Canada, or just worldwide?
They are everywhere.
Nice.
We have a Facebook group, and I asked them, hey guys, where are you from? I'm from Chile, I live in Canada, and I've crossed paths with people that is from the US, that is from the UK, that is from Transylvania even.
Oh yeah,
they're
the ones we want.
They're from everywhere. There's a lot of people from Mexico that listens to my music, and from Peru. There's people in France, France as well, but Brazil. And it's great that my music is being heard like everywhere. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, definitely another big pro of this internet era, you know,
it's the best
kind of climate. Yeah, no, I must say that I think that he's done a spectacular job with that. Like, I know that you went through like Seven Musician Academy and things like that, right? In terms of like,
I did. I not professionally, I didn't study music. While I was in school, I don't know, I think it's high school. I was at the same time going to this music institute to take like music lessons, singing lessons, and it was really fun. And then private lessons, singing lessons, they were always around me. I studied something different, absolutely different, but music was always there. So
I'm with you. I just wanted to clarify. I meant what I was referring to was Leah McKinry and the Savvy Musician Academy. Am I right in thinking that's something that you've done, right?
I did.
Cool. So that's what I was referring to, just in terms of talking about making, having listeners all over the world and such.
Yeah.
It was more just about your kind of promotional methods and the way that you engage and build community and stuff there. Like it's really done so well. And I guess having this defined culture with the vampires and everything is really cool. So you have like your mailing list, right? And
yes.
Kind of really create that bond with people there, which is super cool.
Yeah, oh my God. I always talk to them. We are always chatting. We have a Discord channel. We're chatting there sometimes, like, hey, look, I found this. I don't know. Someone was like walking around. They saw a super awesome, I don't know, graveyard. Like, I thought about you guys. Do you like this? Or on Facebook, the group, we're always chatting about sharing art, sharing movies. It's great. I feel so good when I see that there's people out there like me and we connect with vampires or other interests apart from that and music. And it feels less lonely, to be honest.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
What else do you want to know, my friend?
I blanked for a second on what I wanted to say.
Those are my vampiric powers.
There was what I was going to say was kind of linking those last two things together was that I really like how you kind of switch between like, being a really cool down to earth person that is just like talking like, fans as friends, basically just, hanging out. But then you also do what kind of links into your live show, the kind of theatrical thing, which is that you'll post clips or things like that, like talking in this more theatrical way. Like, you like as the Inferno Doll in a way, like it's really cool. It just feels like, it's just, theatrical like that. And it's enjoyable. And you see it and it's like, oh, that's Laura. But like, it's a performance as well. You know?
My friends,
and that's super cool.
Not too long ago, I think like a week ago, ish, a friend, I don't know, I was explaining something, a part of a movie, and I was doing all these special effects and moving, and he was staring at me, and I'm like, what? You are so dramatic. And I'm like, I am. So
amazing.
That's why I do the way I do it. Sometimes it's just me, like just Laura, or sometimes the Inferno Doll takes over and she's in control. So
nice.
That's honestly what I was what I wanted to achieve when I released Dollmination, because it's still me, but it's not me.
Yeah,
but still me.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's really cool.
It's just fun. It's just fun to be able to take on different forms. You can be a vampire one day, you can be something else the next day. One of the things that I tried to study when I was younger was theater, actually, but I quit because I realized that I was not good as an actress. But when you're on stage and singing and doing your thing, it's totally different. So I don't know. Maybe I could do it now.
I'm sure. Yeah, you clearly have the innate theatrical flair. I suppose it's just different, isn't it? Like when you're in a classroom trying to do something some fixed way.
Dude, back then, I mean, it was 1999. And I was feeling so off. Like on theater class, like the class you were there on the boards, as we would say it, and I wasn't feeling like connected to anything there, and I was like, I think I chose the wrong career. So, but it's funny because I'm always doing crazy things like that. Probably I don't see myself as an actress, but as a performer, and and I always try and do my best to give my everything every time I perform. If I fail or I don't fail, or even if I forget the lyrics, that happens a lot. Oh my God. Or when you're singing and suddenly, because you are like, and the cable gets disconnected from your mic, you're like, fuck, how am I gonna fix this? Performing. So yes, and I still get like so scared every time I have to go on stage. It's like I start shaking, sweating, and I'm like, fuck. But I like it. I didn't know that I liked it so much until I started doing it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, I certainly could see you pulling off the kind of more theatrical, even solo performance, because I mean, you see it in your music videos, right? The last video you released was the Ghost Waltz one.
Yes.
And that's primarily you
me,
like in this ghostly thing in a white dress, and you're kind of like dancing in this was like a theater or kind of rundown room of the theater or something.
That music video, same as Renfield, was filmed in a theater in Indian Head, Saskatchewan.
Cool.
The Grand Theater. So we used that location for these two videos. Is an incredible place to shoot. People that allow us to film there were amazing. And yes, so we shot like in the it's kind of a backstage, but in the upper level. That's where we shot Ghost Waltz. And Renfield was shot like in the basement. And where I'm on chains and everything, being the Renfield, because Renfield was insane. He was mind controlled by Dracula. So, and I was trying and doing my best to be my own version of Renfield. So, I remember Eric Laboussiere, who filmed my video, was like, okay, we're going to do this test shoot to see if everything is in order. And he's like, okay, let's move on to the next one. It was good. It was really fun to shoot there.
Nice. It looks amazing. And as I say, it just kind of contains that sense of performance art, because you have the song playing, obviously, as a music video, but you know, it's mostly situated around you, you know, performing this part, this expression, like, as you say, for this upcoming song or just released song, Renfield,
just
like
released song.
You're channeling the character Renfield, right? And therefore it's kind of like a performance art of that, with, you know, the chains and such. And then like in Ghost Waltz, you're obviously channeling this kind of you know, lonely ghost and whatnot.
Lonely, forgotten ghost.
But it's really cool because, again, like that parallel of, you know, you're singing clean a lot, but then when you start kind of like screaming, I mean, that's a pretty atmospheric track as well. So it's really powerful in that way. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite songs. I feel very proud of it.
Nice.
I was pretty much inspired by one of my favorite Devil Doll albums to write that song. Cool. It's not that I used that to get inspired, but I was in this Devil Dollish mood, and I listened to that album all the time. It's The Girl Who Was Death, and I was feeling like, oh my God, I need to get this out of my chest. Sometimes what I write, lyrics or anything, are not about something specific, but they are about emotions that I'm feeling at that very moment. And yeah, man, it's one of my favorite songs of my own.
I can imagine it's really cool and it's different. I mean, that's what's really cool about the Sacrifice EP, actually, is there's 3 songs, but they're all actually really quite different. And I mean, they're obviously, you know, they tie together really nicely, but they kind of touch on different aspects. And Ghost Waltz is like, much more atmospheric in that way, which is really cool. But I mean, Sacrifice as well, it has more of a kind of, I don't know, almost like a tribal aspect to it, and the video that you had
Yes.
there as well, it kind of like reminds me a bit of like Dead Can Dance, that kind of more like dark
Nice.
ambient type music. Which again, like though, you still managed to kind of get some growls in there, even though it's not like full on
Yeah.
metal. And again, kind of going back to the performance art thing, I think that that's so powerful, because if you actually had just one person there on stage, you know, we've all heard metal vocalists
Yeah.
growling in front of a band, but you know, to have somebody really kind of like bearing their soul in a performance art kind of
Yeah.
way,
Oh,
that'd be
it's a
amazing.
challenge that I want to do. Even if it's just
Yeah.
once, and then eventually, probably with a full band or an orchestra. Oh my God, a vampiric
yeah.
theme show. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, you're talking my language all day long, especially with the orchestra.
Oh my
like,
God, yes.
that's
Okay,
it, man. Yeah,
I met
for
a
me-
new friend today.
Yeah, man, I actually write like kind of vampire metal music, basically, which was why I was so excited when I came about your project. I haven't released any, and I have all kinds of different projects, but like vampire metal is essentially something that I really, really wanted to
Get into
take
it?
my own spin on it. And for me, I hear a lot of
Good.
that, like symphonic aspects and like the organs and, you know, all of these kind of
Yes.
things. So
Have
I
you
remember.
ever heard of?
Go on.
Sorry, have you ever heard about this band, Deathless Legacy? They're from Italy, if
Yeah.
I'm not wrong.
Okay.
They are a horror-themed metal band,
Mhm.
and they have some vampiric approach. So I'm gonna send the link to you, so maybe
Yeah,
you'll like
awesome.
it.
Man, I'll take anything remotely like that. I'll take it. I remember I first came across you a while ago, actually, when Pete Rawcliffe
Mhm.
he just shared you on his stories one time, just being like, you know, oh, you got to check out this, like it's like vampire metal. And I remember like chatting to him briefly about that, and I was like, vampire metal, like, yeah, give this to
Yeah.
me like all day long. This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I really like to, like, when people read read the description of what I do before listening to the music. It's like, oh, vampires, oh my lord, oh, okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's really nice that I'm able to do that. I know I'm not everyone's like cup of tea.
Sure,
I
yeah.
have people have told me, like, sending me messages like, I do not like this kind of music, but I like what
Okay.
you do.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
good.
like kind of telling
Mhm.
me like, you're great on what you do, even I don't like it. And I'm like, okay, thank you, I suppose. I think it's great
Yeah.
that even if you are not into metal or what I do, I have friends that they don't understand what I do. They're
Mm.
like, I think it's great, I just don't understand it. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
are
that's
different
it.
people that are doing other stuff, and
Hmm.
I'm okay with that as long as we can be friends.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all respect one another, and we'll have our own
Yeah,
tastes.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, wicked. So I'm interested as well. Like we kind of touched upon a couple times, and you mentioned how like getting into performing and it was scary, but you just kind of jumped in and did it, and then loved it. So up until recently, like I knew about the Inferno Doll, and I've been following the project for a while, as I mentioned. But I realized that you've actually got a pretty cool background as well, and you've been performing and doing things for quite a while. And I was actually intrigued into more of like how you did actually get into it and what your kind of journey has been, you know, sort of from getting into music.
Wow. Well, it all started at a very young age.
Nice.
My music teacher in school, when I was very little, he was always like encouraging me to sing and to perform at the school acts. But I hated them because I couldn't
no
be on stage
vampires.
no vampires. No, I was just scared of being on stage.
Yeah.
Like I would like,
yeah, freeze. Yeah.
no, I can't.
Yeah, I get that.
But I've always wanted to do it. And years passed, and I think I was around when I was 17 or 18. years old, a friend called me when you used landlines back then, like your
Nice.
phone
Yeah.
ringing in your house.
Alien
And
concept to any
yeah,
people
and
too
he
young.
called me and he said like, hey, so someone told me that you like music and that you like to sing. Yes. Do you want to sing in my band? Because I suck. And I'm like, yes, I want to do it. Okay. I hang up and I was like, what the fuck did I do? I have to call him back and say that I can't do it. And I was like, no, you want this? Do it. So it was a punk band. And the first show, I was just staring at the bass amplifier. I was scared. And I think it was around the third or fourth show that I started feeling more confident and having more fun. And it was a great era with them. We performed a lot. I was in a lot of stages. I met a lot of incredible people. But I was getting more and more into metal. So I got the opportunity of trying myself as a singer of a metal band, and they liked me, and I got in. That was Sacramento. That was the band I was in from 2008 probably to when I left, the 2015, 16-ish, something like that.
Okay.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. We perform a lot as well. We opened for several bands. I got to be on the Metal Fest in Chile. It was oh my God, what an incredible experience.
I bet.
And then I decided to go solo and move to Canada. And here I am.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, what was the driver there with that then, with choosing that path instead, with
Instead of anything
going
else?
solo? And yeah, so I mean, yeah, in terms of like with the band, you were playing with the band for a while, and then eventually you decided to change course and move country and go solo instead.
Life happened, priorities changed, the ways, the things I was like hungry for changed. And it was a hard decision to make. It was not easy. Like leaving Sacramento to begin my solo project, it was not an easy decision to make. But I did it, and I already had in mind like moving countries. It's like there are certain things that happen in your life, and you just want to like, I'm going with that, but there's other things that you have to sacrifice in order to achieve others. So for me, it was hard, but I don't regret it. We still talk. I mean, Alejandro and I, we still talk. He was the guitar and main composer of Sacramento. And I don't know, probably in the future, if I go there to Chile and they want us to perform, I would totally go in there and play with them. They're my friends, and I had fun. So I do miss the band thing, like the group thing, and all minds together in doing something. But I was also craving for something more. So I was having this barbecue at my house back then, and Gabriel was there, and it was one of the very first times on which I was sitting next to Gabriel talking about music, and I was like, you know what, I want to do this solo project, and it's about this. You want to jump in? And he's like, oh yes.
Nice.
So yeah, that's it. It happened. It has to be like that. I do not scratch from my notebook the possibility of singing in a band eventually. But there are so many things that I want to make sure that they're doing for me to jump in a band again.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
I'm not close to the idea. Right now, the Inferno Doll is my focus. I want to do as much as possible with it. There are other projects in mind. I can't say I will never
yeah.
do this again, because I would say that like probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But if I like it, if I feel good about it, and if everyone involved in the project, we think alike and we are okay with doing certain things, why the hell not, right?
Yeah. And what do you think, like touring, that kind of lifestyle, is that something that would appeal to you in the right scenario, or you prefer being at home?
Well, I'm a home person all the time. I like my cats.
Cool. Nice.
I'm most of the time at home reading, doing something around. I'm always doing something. But touring, it is something that would be fun to do. I do not see myself as a touring artist, like touring all year long and never being home. Probably touring here and there if it's possible. But at the moment, I see the picture of begin to perform here locally in Calgary, and from there see what happens.
Yeah, cool. And I like with the idea, as we were talking about it, we mentioned earlier, like Sam Astaroth, and he kind of seems to be doing a bit of that, because he was doing he had the music video with just him and then like a dancer, and then was performing on stage like that as well. So
yes,
it makes a lot of sense that you guys are friends and you're talking about stuff and bouncing ideas creatively.
Yeah, we're chatting all the time. It's like, okay, do you need a hype chat? So we would like call each other, brainstorm about whatever. It's like, okay, everything that's in my head now, everything makes more sense because I said it to someone that understands.
Yeah, cool. There was one other thing that I saw that you were a part of, which I thought was really cool. You mentioned on your website about Eve's Apple, if I've got that right.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a
long time ago.
Yeah. I checked that out and seemed really, really cool. So it's like a community of artists that you were a part of, right?
Yeah, that was long time ago. We had this community of female singers called Eve's Apple. They were singers from very indie bands like myself, or known bands like, I don't know, Marcela, for example, from Stream of Passion. Clementine Delony was also there. Lindsay was also there. Mariangela de Murtas was also there. And we made a live show back on 2013. We, as Eve's Apple, we performed at the Metal Female Voices Fest in Belgium, and we just sang covers. I remember singing with Clementine a song from Accept, and then it was Sana, Grace, and who else was there? I think it was Lindsay. We were singing a Scorpion cover. It was so much fun, and the best part of it was me on stage staring at the audience and seeing Chilean flags, and I was yeah.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah,
represent.
Yeah, and I had to say something, so I said something in Spanish. I don't remember what it was right now, but I said it, and they were like, "Wah!" Yeah, it was so much fun. Yeah,
it looked so cool. I managed to find like a YouTube video or something that had last couple of songs, I think, and that had like everyone on stage. It's just like a huge row
all of us
of you guys all singing together.
So many of us. It was amazing.
So how did that
times.
Yeah, it looked really cool. Like how did that come about?
Other girls were like the founders of it, and I was contacted by one of them like, hey, would you like to be part of the Eve's Apple? And of course, they let you know what are the rules of the group and the things that you would have to do. And I'm like, I was feeling so honored and to be called to be part of the Eve's Apple. And that's how it happened. So we would like plan content from time to time. My God, it was amazing. It was amazing. I don't know if the group is ever going to revive or if we're going to do something as Eve's Apples again. It was a great era, and I'm so glad I got to meet all these amazing ladies.
Yeah, it seems really, really cool. I absolutely love the whole like community thing, especially amongst fellow artists, like-minded artists. So I was really taken back when I saw that. It seemed really, really cool. Like, how did you actually organize that in terms of you saying like what responsibilities you took on, or how did that many people put their heads together? So just like a big group chat between you all? Or?
There was like a group of girls that were in charge, and they would contact us, and it was all on Messenger. Sometimes it was a group of 5, a group of 2 or 3, and then each person had would have to contact the other girls and tell them, okay, so this is the idea. And we also had a secret group on Facebook. So everything we were planning on doing, we would throw the ideas in there, and we will take our roles and arrange everything as good as possible. I remember Mahi, Neil, or Maxi. Sorry if I destroy your name, girl. She organized almost everything for the Metal Female Voices Fest, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Yeah.
Really,
really
it
cool.
was wow. You make me remember things.
Yeah. Really, really inspiring to see that. And that was when you were still in Chile, is that right? So you were still with Sacramento doing that, and then they knew you through that, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff to check out there. I mean, if I'm right in thinking, Eve's Apple, like, so you didn't have any original music as a collective, but you had like a compilation album or something like that.
There was a compilation. It's still somewhere on iTunes. I am not quite sure. But we did not make like our own music. It was just ourselves, like supporting each other, promoting each other, and yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That was basically it.
Yeah. And then for Sacramento, you had some music, right? Was it a couple albums or something?
There's one album, and we recorded another album, but they never edited because I left the band. Sorry.
Oh.
But yes, there is one album, Weight of Sin. It's everywhere, Spotify, iTunes. I think he put it there as well. I mean, Alejandro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So there's a lost album for Sacramento as well.
Yeah, it's not that lost, but it's there, and I'm very proud of it. Actually, the person in the cover of the album is my brother.
Am I right in thinking? So you have one Sacramento album that's released.
One Sacramento album. Yeah.
And is your brother on the cover?
Yeah.
For that,
yeah.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. But what I mean is, did you say that there was a second album from Sacramento that was lost in the like
that one? Yes.
Yeah. So it just never managed to get out there.
No, never.
No.
I hope it's released someday. I don't know what the plans of that album are right now, to be honest. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Cool. And then and then obviously there's your Dollmination album on the Inferno Doll. There's Sacrifice EP. You've just released the single
Renfield.
You've just released Renfield, exactly. And there was also this cover, Trip the Darkness, wasn't it? The Lacuna Coil one with Sam Astaroth, which is super cool. You guys had a video as well. So yeah, nice. And then some juicy stuff coming up, a new record on the horizon. That's really, really exciting. Cool. Is there like anything else in particular that you want to talk about or get in there or discuss?
Oh, you have asked so many things. I think we covered almost everything. It's been super fun chatting with you. I just want to invite everyone to listen to my new song, Renfield. It's available everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, and sign up to my email. To my email list to get notified about music updates, special discounts, and so many other things. And for those that already listen to my music and they know who I am, I want to thank them for their incredible support. And I just can't wait to release more music and to be able to perform live and meet all these amazing people that I've been meeting online. Would be great to meet them on real life. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, amazing. Cool. Well, yeah, it's been such a pleasure, Laura. I really, really appreciate your time and chatting. It's been super fun. So yeah, thank you so much, and I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Anytime. We can talk about vampires.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
We will.
Cool, man. Cool.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Creating a Universe. A big thank you to Laura for joining me. I really enjoyed this chat. Be sure to check out Laura's project, The Inferno Doll, at linktr.ee/The Inferno Doll. Links will be in the show notes. That's all for this episode. I'll see you next time.